Will the members please take their seats and log into the computer system? Will the members please take their seats and log into the voting system? Has everybody logged in? Madam Clerk, you will open the board for roll call. Has everyone logged in that wants to log in? All right, Madam Clerk, you will close the board for roll call and announce if we have a quorum or not.
Mr. Chairman, you have 22 members present. You have a quorum.
Great, thank you. Members, today's going to be a little confusing and we're going to be jumping around. Several of the members have bills in other committees. And so you'll see us getting up and down and leaving. It ain't because they're mad at me. It's because they have bills. So also, I think we've got several members in here today. And my plan is to maybe take some of those that's been on the calendar for 3 weeks now and take up some of those older ones. And then we'll move forward to leadership and chairman and then members. So good afternoon. Today is Wednesday, March the 18th, 2026. I hereby call state and local government committee to order. Do any of the members have any personal orders or, okay, Chairman Eldridge, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman. I have a young man shadowing me today back here, Caleb Nemeth. And if you would, please make Caleb feel welcome. Where are you at, Caleb? There we are. Thank you.
Representative Bricken.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I also have two fine young men shadowing me today. In fact, one is the brother of your representative, Caleb, Isaac Nemeth, and Andrew Silvertooth. One from Coffee County and one from Morristown. So make them welcome.
Any others? The chairman will take privilege. I also have a job shadow today. And Miss Fiona, would you please stand up? All righty. Well, we'll get started. Today we got 99 items on the regular calendar. We have 4 bills on the consent calendar. Without objection, House Bill 1300 and House Bill 1931 and House Bill 2098 have been taken off notice. They are off notice. Without objection, House Bill 1870 House Bill 2548, 2552, 1892, and House Bill 2281. Without objection, they'll be rolled 1 week. All right. We'll now take up the consent calendar. Give you a chance to look. Does anybody, Representative Howell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's objection to item number 1, House Bill 2638, item number 4, HJR 803. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Without objection, these will be rolled off the consent calendar. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. If you would like to be recorded as a no, please see the clerk. We are now voting on the consent calendar. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Give me just 1 second. Okay. We are going to go ahead and take this vote on the board. Madam Clerk, you will open the board for voting. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, close the board and announce the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 19 ayes and 1 no.
Bill moves on to calendar and rules. All right, we're going to the regular calendar, and we're going to start with item 50. Representative Powell, for what reason?
Question for the committee, your chair. If a bill is knocked off consent, is it heard on the following calendar or when is it heard?
It just goes to the heel of the calendar.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, item number 50. This is House Bill 1911.
Motion.
Got a proper motion and second. Representative Shaw, I do see this bill has several amendments. Which one would you like to run?
We want to run amendment 015744.
That is correct. That's what we have. Would you like us to place the amendment on the bill for discussion?
Would, Mr. Chairman? Yes, sir.
All those in favor of Amendment 1574, hang on just a second. I need a second on that. Properly seconded. All those in favor of Amendment 15744 going on to House Bill 1911, please say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Your bill is now amended. You're recognized on your amended bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to give you the short version and stand for any questions that the committee might have. What the legislation allows, it allows an individual who is not a citizen of the state of Tennessee to inspect or to receive a copy of any of their law enforcement records pertaining solely to those individuals, including but not limited to an arrest report, accident report, a crash report, or citation. With that statement, I stand for any questions that the committee might have. Ask for approval.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Are there any questions? Representative Greg Martin.
Thank you. Mr. Sponsor, my question is, when it says an individual is not a citizen of this state, would that include people who are here illegally in this country?
Representative Shaw.
No, sir, it would only include citizens who would have to prove that they were citizens before they could get any information at all.
Representative Warner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and to the sponsor. Can I not already do this?
You're recognized, Shaw.
I understand from some research and some incidents that took place last year, they could not. This was brought to me by one of my senators who I'm actually carrying it for, but from what I understand, that the person from another state had an incident in this state and needed to get their records and was told they could not. Now, I can't prove that to be ironclad because I don't know, but that's what we were told. And that's why they asked me to carry this legislation.
Representative Warner for follow-up.
Mr. Chairman, can we go out of committee and ask legal?
Without objection, we'll go out of session to hear from legal. Without objection, legal, you're recognized.
Matt Mundy from Legal. The Public Records Act specifically requires you to be a Tennessee citizen in order to make a public records request.
Representative Warner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, legal.
Any other questions for legal? Seeing none, we'll go back in session. Are there any more questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, I think we're ready to vote. All those in favor of House Bill 1911, moving on to calendar and rules, please vote yes on the board. Those opposed, vote no. Madam Clerk, open the board for voting. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, you'll close the board and announce the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 20 ayes and 0 noes.
Bill moves on to calendar and rules. Stay right there, Representative Shaw. Everybody go to item 63. This is House Bill 2635. Proper motion and second. Representative Shaw, you're recognized on your bill.
I mean, it is a private act for the city of Stanton, Tennessee, which would require 2/3 votes of the city council if it passes here.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Any questions for the sponsors? Seeing none, we're ready to, okay. Representative Powell.
Thank you. Representative Shaw, is this your last bill?
Representative Shaw, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is really my first because I've been sitting in committee for about 3 weeks and haven't got anything heard.
I feel your pain. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Representative Powell, do you have a follow-up? Okay, good. Representative Warner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Shaw, would this allow the city of Stanton to impose an impact fee?
Representative Shaw.
That's my understanding.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on House Bill 2635. Moving on to calendar and rules. All those in favor, please vote yes on the board. Those opposed, no. Madam Clerk, open the board for voting. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, you'll close the board and announce the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 6 ayes, 14 noes, and 1 present not voting.
Sorry, Mr. Shaw, but your bill fails.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's the first time I ever had a private act fee.
Item number 12.
Okay, we're going to item number 12.
Scratch that. I don't think he's here.
Okay,
Let's do.
let's do phase on. All right, he's not here, so we're going to go to item number 1, House Bill 2509. Chairman Faison. Got a proper motion and second. Chairman Faison, I do see we have a amendment. Can you please give us your drafting code?
3-4.
That is correct. Would you like us to place it on the bill for discussion?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair.
Got a proper motion and second on the amendment. All those in favor of amendment going on to House Bill 2509, please say aye. Opposed, no. Your bill's now amended. You're recognized on your amended bill, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Committee, certainly good to be with you. This bill is a bill that we are going to do a pilot project with the THCA and put $10 million in their coffers that will be split evenly among the 3 grand divisions to allow some incentives for affordable housing. And that's basically what it does.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Are there any questions for the sponsor? Representative Bricken.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Could you expand on how those incentives might work?
Representative Faison.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll read you some. How about that? The bill is intended to create a pilot program through the state of Tennessee and Housing Development Agency for public-private partnerships to provide workforce housing to families between 80% and 150% of the area median income. The pilot program would target innovative projects in areas where population growth is the highest and single-family homes are the most expensive for families, allowing for the funding of projects to innovate regulatory and through fiscal financial incentives and assured loans for all 3 grand divisions. At the same time, this program would only allow for priority consideration to be made when the local jurisdiction or public-private partnerships have adopted incentives projects that include affordable workforce housing comprising 80% of the units and the development near employment centers.
Representative Bricken.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And that's great. Again, my comment, and this is certainly, I support low-income housing. I just, for members, we have a ton of low-income housing programs across the state that THDA is involved in, and a lot of other agencies. I mean, I get lost when I talk to THDA on the number of low-income programs we have. I say that just because I'm not sure if we're stepping over ourselves on a lot of this stuff and are accomplishing what we want under low-income housing. And I make that as just a general statement. So thank you.
Representative Faison for a response. Any other questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on House Bill 2509. Moving on to government operations. All those in favor, please vote yes on the board. Those opposed, no. Madam Clerk, open the board for voting. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, you will close the board and announce the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 21 ayes and 1 present not voting.
Bill moves on to government operations. Item number 2. House Bill 2560.
Mr. Chair.
Got a proper motion and second. Chairman Faison, you're recognized.
Got bumped from the consent calendar. I was wondering if I could present that, but I can already tell that I can't, so.
Okay. Representative Powell, for what reason?
I was going to say only if you can do it in the Appalachian dialect.
So which one?
That's what his bill is.
Okay.
So it's not on that calendar. You have a consent calendar.
Leader Lamberth, what bill are you here to present?
Mr. Chairman, House Bill 2560, but if the caucus chairman has a simple bill that he can describe in the Appalachian dialect, I'll yield to him for one spot if you want. That's your call, Mr. Chairman. I'm just here at y'all's pleasure.
Okay. House Bill 2560 by Leader Lamberth. Do I have a proper motion and second? Right. Leader Lamberth, I do see it has an amendment. Please give us your drafting code.
Mr. Chairman, that should be the amendment that's falling out of subcommittee.
That is not my phone. It's a figment of your imagination.
It should be, I believe the drafting code should be 015042.
That is correct. All right. This is a phone that was left out in the audience. Does anybody recognize it? Did anybody recognize the ring? Okay. All right. Back to the amendment. Would you like us to place the amendment on the bill for discussion?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Again, I believe it's coded 015042.
That is correct. We've got a proper motion and second on the amendment. We're going to place it on the bill without, let's just go ahead and do that. House Bill 2560, we're putting amendment 015042 on the bill. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Your bill's now amended. You're recognized on your amended bill, sir.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, it just creates the Tennessee Department of Emergency Management as a cabinet level department.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Are there any questions? Representative Powell?
Thank you. I was just going to say, I really appreciate this bill. I think it's very important. The different duties that Tennessee Emergency Management and now Department overtakes and oversees. There's a big difference between emergency response and emergency preparedness and readiness. And I think that as we continue to see, like we just saw, the ice storm that hit Tennessee, but also all the flooding, wildfires, the list goes on and on. We continue to experience more and more natural disasters and other disasters in our state. And so it's really important to make this a cabinet level position. So I really do appreciate you running this bill, fully support it, and hope my colleagues will join me in supporting the bill. Thank you.
Chairman Leader Lamberth.
Mr. Chairman, I'm whatever you need me to be, but I thank you for those comments. And I will say, look, TEMA operates basically as its own department during emergencies right now. It doesn't make any sense for us to continue to live like when this was created back in the Cold War. I mean, this is literally when it was first put under military, was back before most of the folks on this committee were even born. And it just makes sense for TEMA to become TDEM. For all of us that are here right now, we are probably for the rest of our time in government service going to call it TEMA, but it would technically become the Tennessee Department of Emergency Management, or TDEM.
Okay, you've heard the explanation, sponsor. Any more questions? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on House Bill 2560. It's going to GovOps. All those in favor, please vote yes on the board. Those opposed, no. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, close the board, announce the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 21 ayes and 0 noes.
Bill moves on to government operations. Chairman Faison, will you please come back to the podium? We are ready for you now. This is House Joint Resolution 0803. Do I have a motion? Proper motion. Is there a second? Properly seconded. Representative Faison, you're recognized on your bill.
Mr. Chairman, my name is Jeremy Faison, and I am right proud to be here with y'all today. What you have before you is a bill, a resolution that we're going to put in the Tennessee State Blue Book, the purest form of English language, whatever was spoke. You do understand that the Scotch-Irish settled in Appalachia. You understand how to say Appalachia, don't you? It's not Appalachia, it's Appalachia. We got to make sure you understand that's how it goes. They come up with lots of way of speaking stuff. And many of you that are Tennesseans will understand, we have our friend David Crockett. He spoke Appalachian. Our friend Sam Houston, Stephen Austin, even from Kentucky, James Bowie. And you can find our dialect all the way down to Texas. It's a pure form of English. And with your indulgence, I'll read you some of the things that you'll recognize. You didn't know they come from Appalachia, but you're going to recognize some of these. We'd say, that's a right smart bit of land you got there. That means that's a big old piece of property. With somebody not very smart, you've all heard this with it. Man, he's dumber than a box of rocks. Somebody not very pretty would say, whew, I've seen better looking plate of biscuits than her. Y'all have all heard the one, some of y'all might be this too, but he crooked as a dog's hind leg. Come from Appalachia. I put one in the sentence, Mr. Chair, I came from a fur piece to get here up here to this big place where you're working. That means I live far away. And instead of wasting the rest of your day, I'll finish off with one that every one of you have said that live in the South, but it comes from Appalachia. And that bless your heart. And we have said that to each other for many years. Mr. Chair, I'd like to put this in the Tennessee State Blue Book.
Thank you, Mr. Faison. All right. That really, okay. You've heard the explanation somehow or the other of the bill. So we're ready to, is there any more questions?
Representative Salinas.
Representative Salinas.
I hope I'm not expected to replicate the accent. But I worked in Kentucky, so I got to hear different dialects within the Appalachia area. But I was looking it up right now and Googling that it is a mixture of Scottish, Irish, English, German, all immigrant groups that we're adding. So I hope that we will recognize other immigrant groups that also contribute to our history and our culture here in Tennessee.
Representative Faison.
Don't deny that I'm second generation here in America. We came legally.
Yeah. Any more questions? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on House Joint Resolution 0803 to go into calendar and rules. All those in favor, please vote yes on the board. Opposed, no. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, you'll close the board, announce the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 22 ayes and 0 noes.
Bill moves on to calendar and rules. That's 10 minutes. That's 10 minutes of your life you'll never get back. Okay.
Item number 3.
All right, item number 3. Item number 3. We're rolling it 1 week, right?
1 week, yes.
House Bill 2548 without objection will be rolled 1 week. Item number 4, House Bill 1635. Is Chairman Moon, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 1635 has an amendment, Amendment 14544.
That is correct. Got a proper motion and second on the amendment. Would you like us to place the amendment on the bill for discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Without objection, we're voting on Amendment 14544 going on to House Bill 1635. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Bill's now amended. You're recognized on your amended bill, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 1635 as amended is the Veterans Internment Update, ensures that Tennessee honors service, not federal activation status, by allowing honorably discharged members of the National Guard and Reserve who have completed their service obligations to be interned in a Tennessee State Veteran Cemetery. In 2021, Congress expressly authorized states to expand their cemetery eligibility without losing or jeopardizing federal funding. I stand ready for questions, Mr.
You've heard
Chairman.
the explanation of the sponsor. Are there any questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on House Bill 1635. Moving on to Finance, Ways and Means. All those in favor, please vote yes on the board. Opposed, no. Madam Clerk, open the board for voting. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, close the board, announce the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 22 ayes and 0 noes.
Bill moves on to Finance, Ways and Means.
Item number 5.
Item number 5, House Bill 1639. Got a proper motion and second. I do see we have some amendments on your bill. Please give us the drafting code you would like to run.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Drafting code is 13930.
That is not the amendment we have. Let us check.
Let's see right here.
You have amendment 14918 and amendment number 15784. That's what we have on hand. Which one? Which one? Okay, Chairman Doggett, we have the amendment from Leader Lambert's office. It's amendment number 15784. Would you like for us to run that?
Yes, sir.
Got a proper motion and second on amendment 15784. Would you like us to place it on the bill for discussion?
That would be great, sir.
Without objection, we'll place amendment 15784 on to House Bill 1639. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Your bill's now amended. You're recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill establishes in code the Department of Homeland Security or Office of Homeland Security. It's been operating as under an executive order for about 20 years, and that's what this bill does.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Are there any questions for the sponsor? Representative Dixie.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just had I noticed that some of the language in here has terroristic threats, and I was like, how is terrorism defined under this legislation?
Chairman Doggett.
Thank you for the question. I believe that is defined already in code. This is what the Department of Homeland Security was indeed created for, was 20 years ago, was after 9/11, was to help investigate acts of terrorism or suspected terrorism. So that's originally what they've been doing for over 20 years.
Representative Dixie.
So there's a Department of Homeland Security that already exists. And so what would this bill do exactly?
Chairman Doggett.
Currently, the Department of Homeland Security exists through executive order only. This is putting it in statute, listing what their duties and responsibilities are in statute.
You have a follow-up? Any other questions for the sponsor? Representative Powell.
Thank you. My concern with the bill is in this it's number 9. Looks like 270. Let's see here. 5, line 9. Cooperate and exchange information with state agencies, other law enforcement agencies, and federal, state, and local law enforcement stakeholders within or outside the state. My greater concern is at the federal level. We know that a lot of different state agencies, departments, others are going above and beyond against our citizens, violating their rights, and not just all Tennesseans. And so I just have issues with giving this, making sure that we need to curtail that. Sometimes the state, we should all respect that we live in a state, and federal law sometimes, particularly now, seems to be overreaching the protections of our people in the state. So that's my objection to this. Otherwise, I have no, I know that a lot of these things are being done, but I think that that's a problem within this bill. Thank you.
Chairman Doggett, do you want to respond?
No, sir.
Any other questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on House Bill 1639. Moving on to calendar and rules. All in favor, please vote yes on the board. Those opposed, no. Madam Clerk, open the board for voting. Several members voted. Does any member wish to change the vote? Madam Clerk, close the board, announce the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 19 ayes and 2 noes.
Bill moves on to calendar and rules.
41.
We're going to take up item 41, Representative Halsey. We have a proper motion and second. I don't see any amendments on your bill, so you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, committee. Some of you heard this before. I've tried for 3 years. This is my last time, so if you'll bear with me, I will try to be as brief as I can. This deals with state nullification. All you law school boys, just put the plugs in your ears and don't worry about it. We'll get through it pretty quick. Article 1, Section 1 of the Tennessee Constitution says that all power is inherent in the people. and all free governments are founded on their authority and are instituted for their peace, safety, and happiness. For the advancement of those ends, they have at all times an unalienable and indefeasible right to alter, reform, or abolish the government in such manner as they may think proper. The very next article in the Tennessee Constitution says that government being instituted for the common benefit, the doctrine of non-resistance against arbitrary power and oppression is absurd and slavish and destructive of the good and happiness of mankind. We need to remember that when the states got together and formed, they didn't call it a federal government, they called it a central government. And when they got together to do that, the states were very, very careful and worried that this central government would become too powerful and tyrannical. So they wrote a constitution to be a system to check this newly created central government. And they made sure in that creation of the Constitution that they gave this newly created government very limited enumerated powers. You will find those powers in Article 1, Section 8 of the United States Constitution. There are only 18 of them. That's all. Now, that played very good for the first 100 years of this country, but over the last 150 years, the federal government has slowly and slowly, more and more encroached on states' business. And the way the founders looked at it was, to this newly created government, they wanted them to take care of the onerous things that was hard for states to deal with. For example, a Navy. It's kind of difficult for the state of Tennessee to have a Navy or keep up with an Army. It was difficult to have post offices in different states and the roads that went to them, dealing with tariffs and a standing Army and the printing of paper currency. Those are onerous things to states. So they wanted a central government to be able to take care of these onerous things, but they by no means at all wanted to give up the sovereignty of the states to do so. So they gave these very limited enumerated powers to the federal government, 18 of them. Everything else is left up to the power of the people of the states. Now, if you look at what's called the Bill of Rights, didn't come to 3 years later. If you read the preamble to the Bill of Rights, it's like the founders were saying, look, in case you didn't understand it and you didn't get it the first time, here's 10 things you don't mess around in at all. And Article 1 in particular says Congress will make no law. So the issue comes down to who has more sovereignty, state or the federal government. The courts nowadays try to say that it's an equal sovereignty. And you and I have almost been conditioned to believe that the federal government is supreme. And when I've run this bill before, people have said, look, haven't you read the Supremacy Clause? Well, yeah. The Supremacy Clause says the Constitution is the supreme law of the land and laws passed by Congress that are pursuant to it. What does that mean? It means when Congress passes a law that is constitutional, it is the supreme law of the land. That's not the problem. What are we supposed to do as a state when Congress passes a law or an edict comes out of Washington or even a Supreme Court decision that is not constitutional? What are states supposed to do? Well, the average answer now is that you get the AG to file a suit and let the court settle it. That's the common answer. But I want to give you another available answer that the founders believed in, that is just as valid today, I believe, as it was then. And by the way, I want to say one thing about executive orders. Most people don't understand executive orders only apply to the executive branch. If executive orders apply to the people, then it's law. And the executive branch does not have constitutional authority to make law. That's your job. That's my job. Nobody else's job. President can't do it. The governor can't do it. That's the legislative branch's job. So what do you do when you have executive orders that come out that are unconstitutional? What is a state supposed to do? Well, back in the late 1700s, early 1800s, Congress of the United States and this newly formed government passed a law called the Sedition Act. It was a law that said you can't say bad things about Congress. And you can't say bad things about the President of the United States. Well, what did the founders do and what did the men look at that when they looked at this as an unconstitutional edict out of Washington? What are they supposed to do? This is what they said.
Chairman Halsey,
Yes.
you're way past your 5 minutes.
Oh,
So try to wrap it up, please. Sorry.
I was just on a roll.
I know. We know.
Okay. If you read what the founder said, like Thomas Jefferson, he said, any edict that comes out of Washington that is unconstitutional is null and void and is not law at all and should be nullified by the states. What is nullification? Nullification is not rebellion. It's not secession. Nullification just says to the federal government, you are out of your lanes. You're in our garden and we're not doing this. That's all it is. It says we're not going to fund it. We're not going to participate in it. We're not doing that here. States have done that. 22 states have done that with marijuana laws in some form or another and have nullified them. They nullified the Fugitive Slave Act. It is a valid posture that a state can take. Now, I'm almost done. This bill doesn't make the legislature nullify anything. All this bill does is say, if you want to nullify something, here's 5 ways to do it. And it lists the 5 ways. It is a valid constitutional response to uphold the 10th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States. And that's all this bill does.
All right. I think Chairman Bolso almost stood up and saluted. So anyway. Any questions for the sponsor? Representative Mitchell, this is going to be good.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Does this also nullify federal funding?
Representative Halsey, Chairman Halsey.
I don't know if federal funding is a unconstitutional act by the United States government. So I would say no, but it's good that you brought that up because that's how the federal government has maneuvered into states, is they have bought their way in. I'm glad you brought that up. Appreciate that.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Any more questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on House Bill 2610, moving on to calendar and rules. All those in favor, please vote aye on the board. Those opposed, vote nay. Madam Clerk, open the board for voting. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, close the board, announce the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 16 ayes, 2 noes, and 2 present not voting.
Bill moves on to calendar and rules. We're jumping back to item number 6. House Bill 1642 by Chairman Farmer. We got a proper motion and second. Chairman Farmer, you're recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, all this bill does, it removes some sunset dates. It's a bill for Department of Revenue, or excuse me, Department of Safety.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Any questions? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on House Bill 1642. Moving on to calendar and rules. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. I'm sorry, we've got to put this on the board. All those in favor, please vote yes on the board. Opposed, no. Madam Clerk, open the board for voting. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, close the board, announce the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 18 ayes and 0 noes.
Bill moves on to calendar and rules.
18.
We're jumping to 18 now. This is House Joint Resolution 0808 by Chairman Farmer. Proper motion and second. Chairman Farmer, you're recognized on your House Joint Resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, what this resolution does, it would amend the Tennessee State Constitution to make it very clear that only citizens of the United States may vote in state, county, or municipal elections.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Any questions? Representative Salinas.
Isn't that already the law?
Chairman Farmer.
Yeah, our Constitution addresses that, but this makes it very, very clear. So there'll be no question. Thank you.
Representative Salinas, do you have follow-up? Any other questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on House Joint Resolution 0808. Moving on to Finance, Ways and Means. All those in favor, please vote yes on the board. Opposed, no. Madam Clerk, open the board for voting. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, close the board, announce the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 18 ayes and 3 noes.
Bill moves on to Finance, Ways and Means. Item 19.
Mr. Chair, if I could just take that one off notice.
Okay. Without objection, House Bill 1969 is off notice. Number 20. Item number 20. House Bill 2495 by Farmer. I do see this has a amendment. I need the amendment code, sir.
I believe it's, Mr. Chairman, it's 14210.
That is correct. Would you like us to place it on the bill for discussion?
Please.
Got a proper motion and second on the amendment. All those in favor of Amendment 14210 going on to House Bill 2495, please say aye. Opposed, no. Your bill is now amended. You're recognized.
Very good. Members, Mr. Chairman, what this bill does, it's going to clean up a 2011 statute that has to do with club memberships in certain communities that have amenities like tennis courts, swim pools, and stuff like that. It would just clarify that club memberships in these communities are part of the home ownership package.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Any questions? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on House Bill 2495. Moving on to calendar and rules. All those in favor, please vote yes on the board. Opposed, no. Madam Clerk, open the board for voting. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, close the board, announce the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 19 ayes and 0 noes.
Bill moves on to calendar and rules.
21.
House Bill 2496 by Chairman Farmer. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Proper motion, proper second. We have some amendments on here. Which amendment would you like to run, Chairman Farmer?
Mr. Chairman, if we could move forward with Amendment 14724.
14724, is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Would you like us to place that on the bill for discussion?
Yes, please.
Without objection, we're voting on amendment number 014724. Hang on just a second. We may have a conflict. Yeah, I got one. Okay. All those in favor of amendment 14724 going on the bill, please say aye. Opposed, no. Your bill is now amended. You're recognized on your amended bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, what this bill does would allow for development of the Smoky Stadium off the 407 exit. We've got some folks wanting to come in and spend north of a $200 million investment there, which is going to create additional sales tax for the state, to help spread out across our communities and counties. So I'll just ask for approval.
You've heard the explanation. Are there any questions for the sponsor? Representative Salinas, did you have one? Any questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on House Bill 2496. Moving on to Finance, Ways and Means. All those in favor, please vote yes on the board. Those opposed, no. Madam Clerk, open the board for voting. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, you'll close the board and announce the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 16 ayes, 1 no, and 1 present not voting.
Bill moves on to Finance, Ways and Means.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee. I appreciate your time.
Okay, we're going to jump back to item number 8. Representative Hicks. This is House Bill 2543. House Bill 2543. There's no amendments on this, so you're recognized, Chairman Hicks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, committee. House Bill 2543 strengthens Tennessee ability to respond quickly and respond when disaster strikes our communities. As disasters become more frequent and recovery costs continue to rise, Tennessee must be prepared to address situations where damage is significant, but federal disaster assistance is unavailable or insufficient. This bill ensures our state has the tools to fill those recovery gaps. The legislation updates the governor's response and recovery fund by placing program administration with the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency, where disaster response expertise already exists. It also establishes 2 clear avenues for assistance. First, the fund can support local governments, counties, cities, school districts recovering from a disaster-related damage. These funds can be used for essential services such as debris removal, road and bridge repair, water and sewer systems, public buildings, equipment, and other emergency infrastructure needs. Second, the bill allows limited assistance to individuals when FEMA individual assistance is unavailable, helping families stabilize and recover during a disaster. Importantly, this bill includes strong guardrails. Funding may only be considered when the governor and local government declares a state of emergency. Federal aid is unavailable or unlikely. Damage exceeds a threshold established by TEMA, and the local jurisdiction formally requests the assistance. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, members, you've heard the explanation of the bill from the sponsor. Does anybody have any questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on House Bill 2543, moving on to Finance, Ways and Means. All those in favor, please vote yes on the board. Opposed, no. Madam Clerk, open the board for voting. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, close the board, announce the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 19 ayes and 0 noes.
Bill moves on to Finance, Ways and Means. Going to jump over to 75. Take up Chairman Hicks's other bill, House Bill 2409. Got a proper motion and second. There's no amendments. You're recognized on your bill, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill is a narrow technical correction that will allow housing authorities to leverage private capital to finance development instead of asking taxpayers to shoulder the entire burden. The issue this bill tackles is that current state law is unclear about how housing development through a housing authority subsidiary is treated for tax purposes. The current lack of clarity creates risk that drives away much-needed private investment. This bill simply clarifies that when a housing authority develops affordable housing through its own nonprofit subsidiary, the project receives the same tax treatment as all other housing authorities. This bill aligns state law with direction from the federal government, allows housing authorities to build more mixed income housing, and makes them less reliant on taxpayers' funding. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Are there any questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on House Bill 2409. Moving on to Finance, Ways and Means. All those in favor, please vote yes on the board. Those opposed, no. Madam Clerk, open the board for voting. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, you'll close the board and announce the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 19 ayes and 0 noes.
Bill moves on to Finance, Ways and Means. Okay. Representative Martin, will you please step up to the podium? Item number 7.
Motion.
Got a proper motion and second. The chairman's going to take privilege here. We have someone in our midst today who is the longest serving elected official in the state of Tennessee. And he's been a big mentor to me, and he's retiring. We don't know what we're going to put him into to keep working, but we have with us today Mr. Larry Waters. At one time when he was younger, he was Mr. Severe Rule. Okay, I do see we have an amendment. Okay. We
There we go. Yes, sir. I've got amendment 14138.
That is correct. House Bill 2538, we're not sure we got a second on that, so I need a motion and second. Proper motion and second. We're on amendment 14138. Would you like us to place the amendment on the bill for discussion?
Yes, sir.
Without objection, we're voting on amendment number 14138 going on to House Bill 2538. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Your bill's now amended. You're recognized.
Thank you, committee and chair. This is a bill from the Department of General Services involving the mega site of West Tennessee. This legislation gives them the ability to finance water, wastewater infrastructure services to the mega site. Any bond issued must comply with the Local Government Public Obligations Act and receive approval from the State Funding Board. This legislation also makes clear that these bonds are obligations of the authority only and do not constitute a debt or liability to the state of Tennessee. With that, I stand ready for question.
Sponsor, does anybody have any questions? Representative Bricken, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just while you're here, can you update us on the activity at the mega site?
Representative Martin.
To the best of my abilities, I can. So they're still moving processing. They're changing over from electric vehicle to more of a hybrid gas model. Ford truck is their goal. So I don't have the date wise, but they've changed from the EV more to an EV hybrid gas combination.
Representative Bricken, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Is the battery plant still in operation on the site?
Representative Martin, you're recognized.
To the best of my knowledge, it is. It's separated from the two, though. Entities are separated.
Representative McCalman.
Thank you, Chairman. Move previous question.
Previous question's been called. We're ready to vote on House Bill 2538. Moving on to calendar and rules. All those in favor, please vote yes on the board. Opposed, no. Madam Clerk, open the board for voting. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, close the board, announce the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 19 ayes and 0 noes.
Bill moves on to calendar and rules. Let's do Bolso. He's been waiting for weeks. Yes. Chairman Hicks, Gary Hicks in here? Okay. Item 43. This is House Bill 1499 by Representative Reedy. I do see we have an amendment on the bill. Would you give us your drafting code?
That drafting code is 13114.
That is correct. Proper motion and second. Would you like us to place it on the bill for discussion?
Yes, sir, please.
Without objection, we're voting on amendment number 13114 going on to House Bill 1499. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Your bill is now amended. You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And members, if you recall, back in 2014, for the Article 5 Convention of the States, we came up with a Faithful Delegate Act. So the caption on this is makes various changes to the qualifications and requirement for a commissioner formerly referred to as a delegate to an Article 5 convention, establishes guidelines for commissioners' vacancies. And I can go much deeper than that if necessary, Mr. Chairman.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Are there any questions? Representative Powell.
Thank you. I'm against an Article 5 convention, but can you explain to me why we need these changes? And I know that bill passed, unfortunately, but what the changes are that are in this as far as the need to amend that?
Chairman Reedy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And of course, you're correct. And that's the hope with this is putting more guardrails in place if and when a convention is ever called. So it establishes the Article 5 Convention Advisory Committee, which will consist of 3 members, 1 state senator, 1 state representative, 1 member of the General Assembly nominated by the joint action who will advise commissioners on their purpose, actions, authorizes the committee to hire staff and develop procedures as appropriate, authorizes the committee to report instances and determinations of a commissioner exceeding their scope of authority and to remove the commissioner from their role.
Representative Powell.
I guess a follow-up. I mean, so we're putting in these guardrails, but other states, if there was an Article 5 convention, might not have the same guardrails. So you could essentially still have a convention run wild, taking up all kinds of different things. Could you explain to me, again, against this fundamentally, but still other states could still have these run loose? And also I'd notice there's no member of a minority party that would be represented in this as well. So I think it's always good if we're going to do something crazy, might as well do it bipartisan, right? So can you explain to me why we're not including that as well?
Okay. Representative Reedy.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Representative Powell, that you are correct. And of course, we've been talking about this Faithful Delegate Act since 2015. And it's like like I said, if and when Article 5 ever passes, making sure that all states are on the same sheet of music. And of course, Representative Sheila Butts, myself, and Senator Mike Bell went to a simulated convention to see just exactly how they would operate. And then with that, what we brought back were ideas just as this, that there needs to be guardrails, and hopefully other states are looking at the same thing at this time, but I cannot tell you what other states are doing.
Representative Howell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was here and actually voted for that first amendment in 2014. A lot has changed in the last 12 years. So I do have a couple of questions. Of course, this makes it clear that any convention called with the states would be managed by Congress. That in itself, in this climate, gives me pause, just to be honest with you. And said that they would set their own rules. That also gives me pause. What would stop the delegates from changing the rules on the fly?
Chairman Reed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And of course, that was part of what we found in this simulation, is making sure, and that's where we're coming up with this, that if we as a state be specific in the call that is being made, and then if somebody goes off on a tangent on something totally different in this bill, that would recall that person back, and then we would have an alternate that we would send. But you're absolutely correct. Currently, I have no use for the federal government and the direction they're headed. Still, my hope is through the election process that we could change some of that in Washington, D.C. But that still gives me pause, even talking about an Article 5 convention. I believe if and when that it's ever gets close, the federal government will start doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Representative Howell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a little bit of angst about this, and I've always believed strongly in states' rights. I believe this, the states, as was pointed out earlier by a previous sponsor, the states created the federal government, and they're trying to flip the script on us, I believe. But it says Congress is required to hold the Constitutional Convention when 2/3 or 34 of the states. But my question is, who is in charge then?
I can't answer that question, Mr. Chairman. Of course, that's not in the bill, but that is a concern
Yeah.
would be of mine as well.
That is a concern. And one,
Go ahead,
Mr.
Chairman Howell.
And one other thing is back to 2014 when we passed that resolution for the Article 5 Convention on balancing the budget. There's two ways to balance the budget. You can either borrow more money or you can cut spending. Since then, they've chosen the previous, and that's borrow more money. I just have a real problem, and I still strongly believe in states' rights, but I'm not sure in this climate if an Article 5 anymore is a good idea. But I appreciate your intent. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Chairman Wright, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Move previous question.
Previous question's been called. We're ready to vote on House Bill 1499. Moving on to calendar rules. All those in favor, please vote yes on the board. Those opposed, no. Madam Clerk, open the board for voting. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, close the board, announce the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 16 ayes, 3 noes, and 1 present not voting.
Bill moves on to calendar and rules. Item number 44. This is House Bill 1788 by Chairman Reedy. We've got a proper motion in second. I do see it has an amendment. Can you please give us the drafting code?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The drafting code is 14552.
That is correct. Got a proper motion in second on the amendment. Would you like us to place it on the bill for discussion?
Yes, sir, please.
Without objection, we're voting on Amendment 14552 going on to House Bill 1788. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Bill's now amended. You're recognized, Chairman Reedy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And members, over the years, you know, I've been working in this subject matter area. There was still a couple bills pending that will help in property ownership from our foreign adversaries. This particular bill was brought to me by Senator Crow, and I will read the summary of the bill. And I was always honored to get Senator Frank Nicely to be my Senate sponsor in working in this legislation. So from Senator Crow, that creates the Senator Frank Nicely National Security and Economic Protection Act, adds the prohibited foreign parties, the PFPs, to the current list of foreign-controlled entities that are prohibited from acquiring by grant, purchase, devise, or otherwise an interest in non-agriculture land in the state, Mr. Chairman.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on House Bill 1788, moving on to calendar and rules. All those in favor, please vote yes on the board. Opposed, no. Madam Clerk, open the board for voting. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, close the board, announce the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 17 ayes and 2 noes.
Bill moves on to calendar and rules. Chairman Hicks, item 12, House Bill 2207. Proper motion and second. I do see it has an amendment. Please give us your drafting code.
014514.
That is correct. Will you like us to place it on the bill for discussion?
Yes, sir, please.
Without objection, we do have a proper motion and second on the amendment. We're now ready to vote on placing the amendment on House Bill 2207. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Bill's now amended. You're recognized on your amended bill, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. The amendment made the bill, and so the bill comes from the assessors of properties. In section 1 and 2, this extends the amount of time that a church would have to get their paperwork filed for an exemption from 30 days to 180 days. In section 3 and 4, it clarifies that disaster relief is done by resolution, not by ordinance. Also in section 5 and 6, it clarifies the interest rate is calculated on an annual basis, not monthly. Section 7 and 8, it will allow Davidson County to increase the size of the County Board of Equalization from 7 to 12 members. And that is it. I'll stand for any questions.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Any questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on House Bill 2207, moving on to Finance, Ways and Means. All those in favor, please vote yes on the board or no. If you oppose, Madam Clerk, open the board for voting. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, close the board, announce the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 22 ayes and 0 noes.
Bill moves on to Finance, Ways and Means. I think you know somebody over there, don't you? Okay. Item number 10, House Bill 1804 by Chairman Moody. Proper motion in second. Chairman Moody, we do not have an amendment. You're recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. I bring to you today from the town of Mason, Tennessee, home of Bozo's Barbecue, over 100 years old, and the original Gus's Fried Chicken. Please come visit. Anyway, this is their private act, and it's making, well, if you have any questions, I'll answer. It could get lengthy, but the description.
Anybody have any questions for the sponsor? Representative McCalman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Chair Lady Moody, after mentioning Bozo's Barbecue, I am intrigued, and I was hoping you would have brought some with you.
Chairman Moody.
They were closed on the day I come up here, so I'll work on that.
Always
Likely story,
closed.
Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on House Bill 1804. Moving on to calendar and rules. All those in favor, please vote yes on the board. Opposed, no. Madam Clerk, open the board for voting. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, close the board, announce the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 22 ayes and 0 noes.
Bill moves on to calendar and rules. Okay, we're going to go to item 74, Representative Fritz. House Bill 2419 by Representative Fritz. You're recognized on your bill, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. This annexation bill, House Bill 2419, seeks to address issues of the annexation process that currently exists in Tennessee. Legislation requires municipalities to submit to the following, the legislative body of the county being affected by the proposed annexation. Submit a financial impact study detailing the short and long-term effects of the proposed annexation on county infrastructure, public services, including schools, county, and the county taxpayers, and a statement of financial viability that demonstrates the municipality's capacity to provide services to the annexed area, including but not limited to water, sewer, roads, police, and fire coverage. The legislation also requires the proposed annexation needs to be approved by a majority vote of the legislative body of the affected county. With that, Mr. Chairman, I'll stop and ask for your favorable move and answer any questions, sir.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Do any of the members have questions? Okay, we have several people. I do want to check and see. I do have some names down that would are here to speak. Janet Curtis, Gabe Howard, are they here? Okay, I don't see them. And then Chad Jenkins. All right. Representative Martin, you're recognized.
Thank you. Representative Fritz, so as I understand if I'm following you on this, if a property was in the unincorporated area and they wanted to be annexed and they were asking to be annexed, you're saying that the county has to vote to let them go and be annexed. Is that what this bill is basically saying?
Representative Fritz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's required
that the studies be conducted before the annexation takes place. Because in some cases, that's not going to be just the one perhaps homeowner that asks for the annexation. Sometimes it's going to be something that places an additional demand on the resources of the county. And the intent of this legislation is to make sure that all the members of the county who might suffer a subsequent cost of that annexation have a vote in the process.
So I get the aspect of the study, but what I'm hearing you say is that that county commission could vote against allowing those people to go in the city. In essence, veto those people that are wanting to be in the city if they so desired. Am I following with you there?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, you are in the general intent of it, to make sure that, again, the interest of the county, everyone in the county has a representative that votes. Not everyone has a municipal representative. This ensures that all of the folks in said county have representation.
Representative Bricken.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple of questions. The bill requires a feasibility study that the municipality would provide. Is the format, structure of the acceptable feasibility study, who determines the quality of that feasibility study and has to accept it? I'll start with that question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for the question. The bill doesn't lay out a lot of specifics about what has to be the format and the structure. We would hope that that be worked out in the rules process for this and between the cities and the counties. If that helps with the question, sir.
Representative Bricken.
Well then, but who, is it the county or the city that determines that that feasibility study is acceptable?
Representative Fritz.
And I will offer this in the second page of the bill. It says the comptroller of the Treasury shall prescribe the form and content of the financial impact study and statement of financial viability under the subdivision A1.
Well, there,
Representative Bricken.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Does the comptroller have to rule on the adequacy of that feasibility study?
Chairman Fritz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And that's not called out specifically. It's only for the financial here on the second page of the bill.
Maybe, and kind of the last question. Is your legislation structured from any other state that has similar municipal county zoning or provisions? I mean, is this, if this passes, is it being done in any other state as far as you know?
Representative Fritz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the question. I'm not aware that we're doing the same thing in any other states, Representative.
Representative Howe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And to the sponsor, I've dealt with this issue of annexation several times, and I remember when we had the late Mike Carter here who passed the first annexation bill. If I understand what your bill is proposing, currently in my district, the city can annex only when the property owners vote to approve that annexation. The county has no voice unless it's non-contiguous. Then they do have a voice.
Yes. Representative Fritz, you have a response?
Excuse me, but could I get to my final point?
Go ahead.
So it would seem to me that your bill in that sense takes away property rights from the owners. Could you talk about that?
Representative Fritz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't think there is a reduction in the property rights of the owners at all. I think that there is a protection of the property rights and the invested value that the county citizens have in those contiguous and non-contiguous properties to make sure that if there is an impact on the infrastructure that's going to be borne by the whole of the county, that the whole of the county ought to be represented in at least having a review of that.
Representative Leatherwood.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This has been a big issue in Shelby County for decades, where it used to be a city could annex no matter what anybody thought, and then a bigger city could jump in and have priority over a smaller city. But the legislature worked hard to get annexation by referendum. And to me, this legislation would clearly undo that work. If 100% of the people in an area wanted to be annexed, it says the municipality must obtain approval of such annexation by majority vote of the county legislative body. So that just undoes what literally some of us had spent decades trying to get, which is the property owners, the people having the final vote. Crazy thing, people having the final vote of who would govern them, rather than the government saying, nah, we get the final vote. So with that, I have concerns.
Representative Fritz, you have a response?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I'll offer this. Back in September of 1998, General Assembly enacted the Public Chapter 1101, codified in Title VI, Chapter 58 of Tennessee Code, which is commonly referred to as the Comprehensive Growth Plan. The intent of the legislation was to address disputes between municipalities and counties related to annexation and promote a coordinated growth plan. In 2014 and 2017, additional legislation was passed by the General Assembly to address the additional issues of owner consent prior to annexation and non-contiguous annexation. However, despite these attempts to reduce conflicts between municipalities and counties, ensured coordinated and sustained growth management, and to give property owners a voice in the process, there have been continued problems. The most significant of which are the lack of representation of the property owners on the enacting legislative bodies and the physical and infrastructure impact on the counties. And while absolutely property rights of the individual go into that and the request to be annexed, what happens in many of these cases is an annexation that results in large growth and results in a demand upon the county citizens, oftentimes that the county citizens bear that cost. And that's what this legislation seeks to address.
Representative Salinas.
Thank you. I also share some of the concerns that Representative Leatherwood found, because I represent some parts of unincorporated Memphis, Cordova, Shelby County, however we want to say it, because they have been part of almost, I think, 3 municipalities. They were part of Lakeland, they were part of Cordova, they were part of Memphis. And they just get passed around and no one can answer questions for the group. And we have tried to address some of that up here in Nashville to come up with some answers for these people who aren't getting answers from anybody. But I still do share some concerns that Representative Leatherwood brought up with this piece of legislation and how it would impact those property owners.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just one quick follow-up. And just for everybody's clarity, I should have mentioned this early on, but this section does not apply to the annexation of a single contiguous lot or 5 acres of 5 acres or less. So some of the individual things I think that we're asking questions about, this writes those out of the process. This is looking at the larger development portions. So,
Chairman Wright.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Move previous question.
Previous question's been called. We're ready to vote on House Bill 2419. Moving on to Finance, Ways and Means. All those in favor, please vote yes on the board. Opposed, no on the board. Madam Clerk, open the board for voting. Madam, has every member voted? Does any member wish to change the vote? Madam Clerk, close the board, announce the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 2 ayes, 19 noes, and 2 present not voting.
Representative Fritz, sorry, but your bill fails. Couple of things to pay attention to here. I think we're going to get another slot Monday, and I apologize to all the members. I'm doing the best I can. We just got a lot of bills. But Monday, we're going to get an extra slot, so we'll be in here for an hour and a half, and then we'll have our normal slot on Wednesdays. So hopefully that will get us through everybody's bills. But thank you, audience, for your decorum, and we really appreciate you. So at this time, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Representative Salinas on Monday. I never got
We are adjourned. Huh?